All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely always up for a good deep dive.
Well, today we're looking into Bright Light on Black Shadows by Dr. Ronnie-Lena Lucanen-Kilday.
Now that title sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it's not your average beach read.
Yeah.
Dr. Kilday, she had quite a background, former chief medical officer of Finland.
Oh, wow. Okay, so serious credential.
She was an international speaker too, but she was really known for delving into some pretty controversial topics like mind control, cybernetics, stuff that makes people raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, definitely venturing into the fringes of science and all that. So what's the book all about?
It's like she throws open the doors to this world of like hidden truths and conspiracies where governments and secret services are basically calling all the shots.
Okay, so we're talking about serious accusations here.
Absolutely. She argues they're manipulating everything like what we see in the media. They're even staging these false flag operations to get their way, and they're super tight about controlling what information actually gets out to the public.
So like controlling the narrative, shaping how we see the world.
Exactly. And she gets really specific too. Like she straight up says that 9/11, that was a false flag orchestrated by intelligence agencies.
Wow, that's a big claim right there.
And she even suggests that the invasion of Afghanistan, that was all planned out before 9/11, just as a way to grab those mineral resources.
So it's all about power and resources, in her view.
Pretty much. And, it really makes you wonder about the information we're given every day and who's really benefiting from it all, right?
Absolutely. It definitely challenges those assumptions we have about the world around us. Like how much of what we think is true is actually being shaped by, I don't know, forces we're not even aware of.
Yeah, like, are we really in control of our own thoughts and beliefs? That's a question that keeps coming up in this book. And Dr. Kild, she doesn't stop there. She dives right into the JFK assassination.
Oh, wow. That's a whole other can of worms.
She's suggesting it was all tied to some larger conspiracy, with these secret societies pulling the strings.
So we're going deep down the rabbit hole here.
Oh, yeah. And it gets even more intense. She takes us into this world of mind control and psychological manipulation.
That's where her medical background probably comes in.
Right. She talks about the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders.
Hmm.
She said it can be used to basically label people and control their behavior.
So it's like once you have a label, it's easier to control someone.
That's what she's arguing. She thinks diagnoses can be subjective and easily manipulated, even for political gain.
Okay, so it's not just about controlling people's actions. It's about controlling their minds, their thoughts, their beliefs.
Exactly. She's suggesting that even things like societal norms, what we consider acceptable behavior, all of that's carefully constructed to create a population that's more, compliant.
Wow. Okay, so where do we go from there?
Hold on tight because this is where it gets even crazier. Dr. Kildvizet, she goes all in on extraterrestrial contact and government cover-ups.
Aliens.
Seriously. We're talking alleged UFO crashes, advanced technologies they're keeping hidden, and these huge disinformation campaigns to keep the public completely in the dark.
That's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but what would be the point of covering all that up?
Well, she suggests it's all about power and control. Think about it. If everyone knew we weren't alone in the universe, it could cause mass panic, the existing power structures could collapse, and there'd be a mad rush to control any alien tech they got their hands on.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
She even uses some pretty interesting examples, like she mentions astronaut Gordon Cooper.
Wait, the astronaut?
Yeah, she says he admitted to seeing extraterrestrial vehicles, like with his own eyes. And she even claims that there was this UFO crash in Russia where they got a hold of some crazy advanced tech, but immediately classified it all, kept it completely under wraps.
Okay, so from secret government operations to aliens and UFOs, where do we even go from here? This is a lot to take in.
I know, right? It's a wild ride. But it's just getting started. Next, Dr. Kild takes us into a whole different realm, medical and military abuses.
Okay, now that sounds really heavy.
It is. We're talking about some disturbing allegations here. She claims there's all this unethical experimentation going on, the use of harmful substances, and even programs designed for, like, population control.
So it's not just about aliens and conspiracies. It's about real-world issues, potential harms happening right now.
Exactly.
Huh.
She even gets into specific examples, like she talks about the CIA's MKUltra project.
I think I've heard of that. Wasn't that about mind control experiments?
Yeah, allegedly they were using mind control techniques on people without them knowing. And then there's this whole thing about chemtrails, where they're supposedly spraying chemicals from planes to either control people or manipulate the weather.
Wow, that's a bit out there.
And she doesn't stop there. She even brings up concerns about vaccines and the influence of big pharmaceutical companies.
So she's really hitting on a lot of hot-button issues.
Definitely. And it all raises some huge questions, right? Like,
Yeah.
who's really looking out for us? How much control do we actually have over our own health and well-being? It makes
Oh, sure. And I bet this all leads to the big one, right? The New World Order.
Oh, you know it. You can't have a deep dive into conspiracy theories without the New World Order making an appearance.
So what's Dr. Kild's take on that?
She basically paints this picture of a future where a powerful elite controls everything. Global governance, population control, individual freedoms completely eroded, the whole 9 yards.
That's a pretty chilling vision of the future.
It is. And she sees things like microchips, mass surveillance, all that reliance on technology we have as tools for this elite to maintain their control over everyone.
So she's saying it's all connected, the technology, the conspiracies, this New World Order.
Exactly. And she thinks it's happening gradually, a slow chipping away at our liberty, all in the name of safety and security.
It's pretty unsettling to think about. But, okay, if I thought it couldn't get any weirder, you said it just gets started.
Oh yeah, buckle up. Because next, Dr. Kild takes us beyond the physical realm. We're talking out-of-body travel, astral projection, communicating with other dimensions, all that.
Wait, hold on. From government conspiracies and aliens to spiritual experiences.
Yep. It might seem like a big leap, but she really emphasizes understanding our true nature, beyond just the physical body. She believes these experiences helped her connect with a higher level of consciousness and gave her insights into the hidden workings of the universe. So we've gone from government manipulation to alien encounters, mind control, medical conspiracies, and now out-of-body experiences. Safe to say, this book takes us on a wild ride.
It definitely sounds like it challenges everything we think we know. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
That's a great question. That's what we're going to start exploring in part 2. What stands out to you so far? What are your initial thoughts on Dr. Kild's claims? Is there anything that resonates with you or maybe makes you a bit skeptical?
Well, one thing that really stuck with me was how Dr. Kild connects all these seemingly separate ideas. Like, she talks about the fear of terrorism, which she thinks was, manipulated. And then she says that same fear is used to justify more surveillance, less privacy. It's almost like she's saying fear itself is a tool of control.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder, if they can manipulate events to create that fear, what else are they capable of? It's a pretty chilling thought.
For sure. And it all ties back to her claims about mind control, right? If our thoughts, our perceptions can be influenced like that, it raises some serious questions about how much freedom we really have.
Right, like, do we even have control over our own minds? It's unsettling, to say the least. But it's definitely something we need to be aware of,
Yeah.
Dr. Kild really forces you to think about the information we're given and who's controlling it all.
Absolutely. And she doesn't shy away from talking about technology either. She brings up how it can be used for good or for bad. On one hand, we have all these advancements in medicine, communication, we can explore the world easier than ever before. But then there's that flip side.
Yeah, like that same technology can be used for surveillance, manipulation, even control. It's a double-edged sword, for sure. Which brings us to those microchips she talks about. Pretty disturbing to think these things, which are marketed as medical advancements, could be used to track us, manipulate us, even control us.
Right. And she suggests that it's already happening, that this technology is being used without people even knowing. She sees it as part of a larger agenda, this whole population control, social engineering thing.
It's like something out of a dystopian novel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she even connects it back to those extraterrestrial encounters. She suggests that some of this advanced technology, it might actually come from those alleged UFO crashes.
Okay, now that is a wild theory. But hey, it's food for thought, Ramba.
Definitely. It's all about keeping an open mind, exploring different possibilities. But it's important to remember, Dr. Kild is presenting a specific worldview, one that challenges a lot of conventional beliefs. We don't have to accept everything she says as fact, but it's definitely worth considering.
I agree. It's about using her work as a starting point for critical thinking, for doing our own research. And I have to say, her discussion of the New World Order was pretty fascinating, especially how she relates it to globalization and how interconnected the world is becoming.
Yeah, she sees it as this move towards a single global government controlled by this elite group that operates behind the scenes. And she thinks this group is actively trying to, dismantle national sovereignty and get rid of individual liberties. Not exactly a bright picture, is it?
No, not at all. She paints a pretty bleak picture of the future, where we're basically giving up our freedoms for the sake of global stability and control. And technology, of course, plays a huge role in all of this. Microchips, mass surveillance, the control of information, all tools that could be used to create a society where we're constantly being watched and manipulated.
It's definitely a dystopian vision. And I found it really interesting how she connects this New World Order back to her beliefs about extraterrestrial contact. She actually suggests that this elite group might be working with, get this, extraterrestrial beings.
Working with aliens. Okay, now that is a conspiracy theory for the ages. What's the thinking there?
Well, she sees it as this huge conspiracy to, like, enslave humanity and take all our resources, not just physical resources, but our spiritual energy too.
Okay, that's a lot to process, but I guess it all circles back to what she was saying about the importance of spirituality, understanding who we are beyond just the physical body.
Yeah, she seems to be saying that if we cultivate our spiritual awareness, connect with something bigger than ourselves, we can empower ourselves. And that way, we can resist any attempts to control us.
So love and compassion are the weapons against fear and control. That's a pretty powerful message.
It is. And it's a good reminder that even with all the darkness, all these conspiracies, there's still hope. We're not powerless.
Absolutely. And speaking of hope, I thought it was interesting how Dr. Kild ends her book on a more positive note, even after all those disturbing topics she covers. It's like she's saying, yeah, the world's a mess, but we have the power to change things.
Right. She puts a lot of emphasis on individual action, critical thinking, standing up for what we believe in. She wants us to question the narratives we're given, do our own research, connect with other people who are seeking truth. It's about empowerment, taking back control.
I like that. It's a reminder that we're not just victims, we're co-creators of our own reality. Our choices matter.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message, especially when you're dealing with information that can make you feel overwhelmed, even hopeless. It's like she's saying, don't give up. There's always something you can do. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Government manipulation, aliens, mind control, medical conspiracies, the New World Order, and even spiritual experiences. Bright Light on Black Shadows definitely takes us on a wild ride.
No doubt about it. It's a book that makes you think, challenges your assumptions, and forces you to look at the world in a whole new way.
It's definitely a conversation starter, that's for sure.
Uh,
But now I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Dr. Kild's writing style? Did you find it engaging?
yeah, her writing definitely kept me engaged. It's not your typical dry academic style, you know?
It's like she has this knack for weaving together personal stories, historical events, and scientific data, and somehow it all works. It creates a really compelling narrative.
I thought those personal anecdotes were especially effective. It made the information more relatable, gave it a human touch, which is important when you're dealing with some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, and her passion for these topics really shines through. You can tell this is something she truly believes in.
Definitely. She's dedicated her life to uncovering what she sees as injustices and hidden agendas. It's inspiring in a way.
I also thought she did a good job of presenting her arguments clearly, even when the concepts are complex. You can tell she's done her research. She really understands these topics.
Absolutely. Bright Light on Black Shadows is definitely one of those books that stays with you, makes you think long after you've finished reading it.
For sure. It's thought-provoking, challenging, and definitely a conversation starter. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this whole deep dive. It's not about blindly accepting or rejecting what Dr. Kild says.
Right. It's about using her work as a jumping off point, to do our own thinking, our own research.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that critical thinking, especially these days when we're bombarded with information from all sides.
It's like she's reminding us to question everything, look beyond the surface, consider all the different perspectives.
And to not just take things at face value, whether it's coming from the government, the media, even people who claim to be experts. We have to think for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that ties back to her whole emphasis on individual empowerment, right? Knowledge is power. The more we educate ourselves, the more aware we are of what's happening in the world, the better choices we can make.
We can take control of our own lives, our own destinies. And, one of the things that really resonated with me was her focus on love and compassion. She sees those as the antidote to all the fear and control out there.
Yeah, it's about breaking free from those cycles of manipulation and negativity. It's about creating a better world, a more harmonious world, through understanding and forgiveness.
It's a powerful message, and I think we all need to hear it, especially now when the world feels so divided, so full of fear and mistrust. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Bright Light on Black Shadows, I think the biggest takeaway is this. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep seeking your own truth.
Don't be afraid to challenge your assumptions, to consider new ideas, even if they seem out there at first.
Right. Be discerning, Evaluate information carefully, but always keep an open mind. The world's full of mysteries, and it's up to each of us to figure out what we believe and how we want to navigate it all.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into something fascinating and thought-provoking. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, keep shining your light.